So here's the underneath of the car, and you can see the underseals coming away in places. There's some surface rust and what have you. I think it's time to get out the wire wheel on the grinder and just go to town. Well, after only a few hours with the grinder and the wire wheel, I got most of the underseal off the back of the car. I went looking for rust and didn't find any. The car is super solid, so that makes me extremely happy. I'm glad I wore a full face mask for that job because the wire from the brush just flies everywhere. So I've decided to treat the bare metal with Porsche 15. First of all, I have to use their metal prep to etch the surface before I apply the product. A friend of mine used it on one of his restorations and he raved about it, so I thought I'd give it a go. You let the metal prep sit for 20 or 30 minutes and then you rinse it thoroughly with water, and then I just let it dry overnight. You can see it certainly etched the metal and even started some surface rust, but that's apparently the perfect conditions for Porsche 15. I bought a whole bunch of cheap paintbrushes from Home Depot. One thing to note is that this stuff sticks to everything, including you. And I got it on my skin, on my head, in my hair, and I had to live with it for about a week and a half. It's like having the worst tattoo ever. I applied the recommended 2 coats, and it's self-level, so you don't see any of the brush marks at all. It dries to a high gloss black finish. It turned out great, and it should protect the metal from any future rust. My only concern is the actual finish itself is so shiny, so glossy, that I'm worried about the undercoat sticking to it. I'm going to use self-etching primer over the Porsche 15 so the undercoat has something to stick to. Not all of the surfaces in the engine bay get stone guards, so I'll paint those satin black. I bought 3 1-litre bottles of the Worth SKS Stone Guard in black, as well as a Schutz gun to get that great factory looking finish, and a pressure regulator to keep the flow at 60 psi. I've masked off the whole car, including the wiring harness and the control cables, and I'm ready to spray the primer. I quite like the olive green. I masked what I thought would look good in satin black versus a stone guard, as well as some of the sidewall areas that I knew were masked from the original undercoating. I figured this was about to get really messy, so I put plastic sheet around the whole garage to contain the overspray from the stone guard. I let it dry overnight and then masked it in the morning. I used a full open nozzle position on the gun to get the most texture. That seemed to match what was already there on the car. Also the 60 psi on the gun worked out great. I'm really pleased with the result, and I'm glad that messy job now is done. But I'm not completely sold on the Porsche 15. I might look for something else. I don't like the way I have to use etching primer to get the undercoat to adhere to it.